Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tome Knowledge, where we give you knowledge for free, just for you. Bespoke, curated knowledge right into your brain. You're welcome, but only if it's about D&D. Happy
Job is done.
Monday. Yeah, job done.
Happy Tuesday.
Yeah, everyone, welcome Nina, aka Kid Kerrigan, to the stream.
Hello,
Yay, to the podcast.
Welcome. Hi.
We're here with Virtual Spectre, Moves Like Jagger from the GG and crew. It sounds like you're like a terms and conditions when I say it that fast.
I mean, it's in the contract I signed. You have to say it every single time.
If your podcast lasts longer than 4 hours, be sure to see a doctor.
Shit. Oh boy! Hope everyone's having a whole day today, because I sure am. It sounds like we all were too for the stream, having a whole day. Yeah.
Sounds like Monday.
Do we all have a case of the Mondays? Is that what it is? Every single one of us?
Does our
I
Monday
have it on
transfer to
Tuesdays.
you, Nina?
Hey?
Does our Monday transfer to you? Like
Yeah, I have your
like,
Mondays on Tuesdays. Yeah.
You're like,
I do.
My stupid American friends gave me the case of the Mondays.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's when all my emails start coming in from the Americas.
Yeah, see? So we're still to blame, so it counts.
Yeah.
Right? You're
100%.
So anyway,
Shelby.
this is the last you will see Caches and Cantrips ever again for at least 2 weeks. By the way,
I don't know why you set it up like that every time.
I like seeing your eyes get wide when I say it. I like the fear entering
I
your
imagine
eyes.
Bun screaming from the other room, like, Max, why you always do this?
Yeah.
She can't control me when I'm in here. I'm in the DM seat. No, but yeah. That's such a stupid thing to say. No, but yeah. Yeah, but no. Anyway.
Yeah, nah.
See, yeah, nah sounds cool. But but no. It's like a surprise.
But not yeah, no. It's gotta be yeah, nah. Not yeah, no.
Yeah, infinitely cooler. Any way that you try to spin it, it's just gonna sound even more cool. So thank you for that. But seriously, we won't be back until at least 2 weeks. But what I will say is we're gonna miss you, and join our Discord. Come hang out with us. I need some people to talk to while I'm in the car, while we're driving across the country. Because Bud and I are trading. I'm not doing all of it, and she's not doing all of it.
Good idea.
It's gonna be a long ass drive. I don't know what she's saying. Excuse me, sir. For you have to talk to me, not them. I'm gonna talk to you. I'm gonna talk through them to you. It's for both of us. It's from both of us.
Yeah. I don't blame you for switching out. When I drove to the beach, it was like 12.5-hour drive, and I went straight through, and it was rough.
That's why would you do this? This reminds me of when
I didn't want to stay at a hotel.
I mean, I don't want to
try
either.
to do the same thing to get to Sydney. It's anywhere between 8 to 12 hours, depending on traffic.
I drove the full 18 hours to Washington, and the only reason I had to stop is because the roads were closed because of snow, and that's the only time I got like a 2-hour nap before the roads reopened.
Maybe we're doing it wrong, Bun. Maybe we just need to have 2 13-hour days straight, or fuck it, let's just go 27 hours all at once.
I don't recommend that. We're old now.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no. Yeah,
no.
Yeah, no. See? Way better. Anyway, the reason why I've gathered you all here today is about Dungeons and Dragons. And... What? What?
You said the reason I gathered you all here today, so I just went marriage.
Oh.
Marriage.
Oh, we're talking about D&D. We're talking about voice acting. And because she's a professional. She's going to tell you all about the things that she's learned when voice acting for D&D. And then we're going to talk to everybody else about it, because you all are on the hook too, because Moobs is great at it. And VS, this is the first time that you went out on a limb and did a whole ass voice too this campaign.
Yeah.
So we need you all here. But besides Discord, go look at YouTube. We got stuff there, and that stuff is for free as well. And if I can wrap my brain around it in this crazy week, they might have stuff while we're gone. If I can do it fast enough. So surprise if it's there.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
No promises.
Oh man, so voice acting in D&D. We've already had an episode where we talked about you don't have to voice act your character if you don't want to. If you don't want to, that's okay. But if you do want to, that's why we're here.
Yes.
So
I think we talked about this a lot. Like, I don't know if it was in Out of Combat as well, or just generally speaking when we're like briefing and debriefing for the show.
yeah,
Just like the general anxiety around, like, do I do the voice acting? Am I doing a voice? Is this accent okay? All that kind of stuff. And like how it ties into improv too.
Mhm.
We were talking a bit about that. And yeah, there's a lot to unpack.
There is, because one, it's live. So after you just full send, whatever happens. You can't take it back. There's no other takes. So there's much more pressure in that regard too. I was thinking about this the other day because I knew this topic was coming up. Do you think that let me think of a way to phrase this, because we're in this weird space of we're all friends playing D&D, but we also stream it. But do you think that there's more leeway with accents in a fantasy setting than if you were like going to try and record something professionally?
100%.
1000%.
Yeah, there really is. Like even in a professional setting, like NDA. Anyway, generally speaking, like I've done a lot of projects where like because it's a fantasy setting,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, there is that kind of like generic fantasy British RP type area, right? Like it happens. There's also like the Americanized version. There's the transatlantic stuff. There's like, but it's not necessarily like a hard and fast rule that people have to sound like. Like you can sound like whatever the hell you want.
It's true.
And if your accent dips, like we train really hard to try to narrow the target on an accent that we're trying to learn, but that's not to say that every American sound makes those vowel sounds exactly that way every time, or
Right.
like those types of things. It's more just like the more precise you are with practicing an accent, the more comfortable you get with relaxing it when you're actually talking.
Mhm.
So it's like, yeah, it's not, especially when we do the show as well, there is a lot more pressure to try to stay
Get good.
consistent and and to like make it as good as we can. And I think consistency is the hardest one because people forget how long D&D games go for. Like when you're recording something professionally, it's like, yeah, the more professional you are and the more experience you have, the more practice you have, you're going to be able to stay in a particular accent for longer periods of time and be able to improv more in that accent or whatever and not have it slip. But also you have to keep in mind that that's not a live environment too.
Mhm.
There's always going to be a director there who says like, oh, that word sounded weird. Can we just do a pick up on that? Let's do the line
Yeah.
again.
You
real
can
quick,"
always
or
do it
whatever.
over in the studio.
Yeah.
When on D&D for us, it's live. And we
Yeah.
have to maintain the accent or if we're doing an accent or the character voice for 3 hours, where Max is a DM, he's got to do this for at least 10 NPCs a session. You know?
Yeah,
Listen,
exactly.
A reoccurring NPC, you got to remember what they sound like last time.
My campaign 2 resolution was like, all right, Max, this is what we're going to do this time. We learned about campaign 1. We figured things out. Maybe instead of writing like nebulous notes about what you think they sound like, maybe make a recording of each NPC, and go back and listen to it. That would be great.
Mhm.
And then people that you expect to come in the episode, you can just roll back the tape and listen to it. Did I do that? No. And here we are 40 episodes through the campaign. So
It is very useful. That's what we do for audiobooks too. Like if you have like a character that you have to go back to, you have little recordings. But yeah, that's like a whole maintenance task of like being able to have a list of all of those characters and maintaining all of that library.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Matt Mercer said the same exact thing. He records all his NPC lines, and so he can go back to listen to it. But I guess he's the only one that actually follows through.
Well, and the problem is sometimes I think of it on the spot because I'll just write basic notes on like shopkeeper 2 or whatever, or this random person in the street, and they're about as fleshed out as what you can write on a post-it note, basically. So sometimes, full disclosure, sometimes I just wing it, and if it sounds like I have, it's because I did. So
But that's the thing; it never sounds like you did because you're the only person who knows that.
Mm-hmm.
To the audience and to us, to anyone else around you, like we're only to know like what you give us. So
Yeah.
like any player in a game, like especially if you're not like, I don't know, my my character is specifically from the east side of New Orleans or something. Like unless you
Mhm.
specify that, like no one's going to hold you up on an accent or a particular way that you behave or whatever. We just take what you give and we're like, yeah, that's the character. Seems good to me.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
so it's like this mental thing of I think, yeah, performing's a mental shift. Like, I spent 30 years trying to get out of my shell enough to finally do this as a career, so
Mhm.
yeah, I totally understand when people find it a bit difficult or, like, daunting to try to do something like that.
You're also dating all of us with that 30 plus years comment, Nina, so I appreciate that. Just kidding.
But yeah, I think D&D is more forgiving when you're trying to do
Mm,
accent because it's fantasy setting. It's not like your make believe world has specific regional accents, right? Like, oh, this region of the world has a Southern English accent, where this part of the region has a Yorkshire accent. Just there's no rules on what accents could be because it's D&D. It could be any accent.
unless you specify it. That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
yeah. So, like, maybe for, um, if the DM sets that up, if Max sets that up as he has those, like, regional
Mhm.
things in his mind, then cool. Like,
Yeah. I
that's for his reference, and we just get that experience when we get there as players.
I actually do a little
Um
bit, but I think
mm,
it makes it easier.
Even then, even if that is the case, it's like you said, Nina, like not every single person from that area, even though there's a general accent there,
Mhm.
they're not all going to sound the exact same, speak with the same cadence, same stress on vowels, that sort of thing. Everybody's a little
exactly.
bit different.
Hey, case in
So,
point, I grew up in the deep south, and I probably because I moved around a lot before then, but I don't think that I sound like it. Maybe
No.
I do, but
I don't, to an untrained ear, or even I don't hear it at all. I think.
yeah.
Did you have an accent when back then, and then you kind of lost it as you moved around?
The only accent I had was a British accent because I was a guest of the Commonwealth when I was learning how to talk. So I picked up a British accent for a little bit, but then that went away and just kind of normalized out. And then now I have whatever this is.
General American.
Yeah, perfect. Cast me American number
Just
2.
generic American number 2.
Arizona man number 5.
I guess, yeah.
California bro 18.
So what I'm curious about, and to kind of rein this in to be useful for some listeners that want to extract some nuggets of knowledge from us in preparation for a character, like for an accent. You're like, I know I have this character and I want to do this particular accent. Like, one, how do you choose the accent that you're going to use? And two, like, how do you prepare yourself for it? Like, do you rehearse? Like, what do you do? What's that process look like?
Go with Nina. She's the professional.
Mayfair. Oh, here we go. Well, I think
Everyone's going to be worse by comparison. Good job,
the
Moose.
thing is,
Oh shit.
we just have to go back to like the whole thing of like the acting versus voice stuff, right? Because
Yeah.
it's all intertwined. So you're like the thing, especially in voice acting, the first thing people are going to tell you is like, it's not voice acting, it's acting. Acting is acting. Acting or whatever.
Mhm.
But the thing is that when you're considering that, I think a lot of this stuff happens subconsciously for people, but then when you like separate yourself from it and look at it on paper, it becomes a thing like, oh, my character sounds that way because like with Kuda, right? Like she's
Mhm.
a little old tortoise.
Mhm.
And I could have put whatever accent I wanted on that, but I just felt more comfortable in the Australian accent, and I'd done a lot more voices like that, and so that's just how she felt to me, is how
Mhm.
she ended up sounding. So it's like, for me personally, it's like, how does this character feel? And then when I start talking, that's just what they sound like.
Mhm.
Um, and you might then, as a layer on top of that, be like, I just think this accent's really interesting and it's one that I want to try and one that I want to practice. D&D is the perfect place to practice that type of stuff because you have to do it so
Mhm.
consistently. Um, so, you can say, like, especially if you're just at home with your friends and it's like not like if you're not doing a show and there's that extra amount of pressure that
Yeah.
makes you feel nervous about it, you can do whatever the hell you want at the table. You can change your character's accent halfway through the game if you want to. Like if it doesn't feel right and no one's like watching per se, you can change that and do whatever you feel.
That is
Um,
a really great point, just because like I didn't realize this, but I have done that. I've gone like to
mm,
episode, session 1 of a home game, and I was like, hey, I'm still working out the accent thing, guys. Like it may be weird at first, but yeah, it's totally
yeah,
valid, especially if you're just playing at home. Like who cares?
Yeah.
yeah.
Who are your friends?
You can try something and just be like, "Oh, like, I don't know, this isn't quite working out," and, like, maybe you wanna go and like Moves was saying, take some classes on stuff you find interesting. And then when you
Yeah.
feel more comfortable with it, you can integrate it back in or, like, start a new character or something. Yeah, like, for me personally, like, even though I do this stuff professionally, most of my I don't think I've ever done a character that was, like, in an American accent or whatever because I still hadn't felt comfortable enough
Mhm.
consistently in that accent without correcting myself all the time. Because when you're in this environment, as you said, it's live and you only get to say the thing once. So you have to be okay with just letting go and noticing that you said something weird and then just moving on. Whereas when you're recording, you're like, oh, I said something weird. Let me say that again. Okay, cool. We can move on now. But you have to be okay just
Mhm.
like letting
Oh
it go and
yeah.
moving on.
Like last episode, one of the NPCs, I fully heard her going from Scottish and Irish just on a whim. I don't know how much everyone else could pinpoint exactly when it happened, but I sure did.
Well, that's what I'm saying, right? It's like in a fantasy world, like I have played characters that they're kind of northern somewhere, and it's like the voice is
Mhm.
skewing Scottish, but there's definitely a lot of Irish influence. And so technically you would be like, wait, is it Scottish or Irish? Because they are different things. But it's like, no, it's just generic fantasy northern land.
Yeah,
And so
that's
it is
exactly what I was
kind of
doing the
both.
whole time.
Like, so, and that's okay because it's D&D.
Yeah. What about you two?
Obvious. How'd you study your character role to become
I know this.
Character analysis.
I know it.
Well, I don't I don't know if I studied it at all.
Yes, you did.
You told us off camera. We know.
I said all I do before a session is I'll watch through some cutscenes from Assassin's Creed 4, where the main character is Edward Kenway, pirate.
Mhm.
Not necessarily to like copy the accent that the actor had exactly, but to try and get into like he's a pirate, he's a man of fortune, loves the sea, very free spirited, um, can be a little bit of an a-hole, like a little mysterious. Like how did the voice actor portray that with the character? And I just pick up on like or try to pick up on like, you know, what does he sound like when he's excited? What does he sound like when he's sad? Um, And then there's like little things because I think he's supposed to be Welsh or something. So the voice actor has like a Welsh accent that it's not very thick. You hear it on some things with pronouncing certain words. So I'll try to like pick up on that a little bit and try to do it. But it mostly ends up just being sort of, I don't know, a loose British accent, as if somebody's not like from London, but somebody who's, I don't know, spent a lot of time at sea and maybe mingled with other people with different accents. And
The transatlantic fantasy accent.
So I want to
Yeah.
check. I want to check with our panel of expert here. So what my friend has said is that in preparation for a role, he goes back and watches videos and scrutinizes how the character thinks and acts and portrays emotion through the character. Is there a word for that?
Studying acting?
Studying? Yeah, like a study of some sort.
But it's like it's a vibe, man. It's a mindset. It's like a mindset of like piracy.
So I'm just giving you shit. Yes.
It's true. Like you watch the video, like that character is like, even if it's just something that you think is cool. Like I played this like Pirate Assassin's Creed game. I think it's cool. I think this character's fucking badass, and like I want to play him too. And so cool. You take that influence and you're like, what does it feel like to be him? You kind of, because humans, like, we emulate each other all the time. We always mirror each other and we pick things up. And when we have, like, people say that Arthur's on the couch right now, so I'm going to mention him, but people say that I act a lot more like him now. And I'm like, well, we've been together for like 6 years. So yeah, we probably pick up stuff from each other, And that's the same thing with when you're studying a character, or like, especially from source footage and things like that, you kind of pick up things here and there. And like it might be a voice, it might be the way that they resonate their voice or something like that.
I just realized, and this is totally off topic, 6 years?
Yeah.
That would
Or 7. I don't know. Some
it's
amount
gotta be
of
longer because you were with him when I met you at TwitchCon.
Yeah, TwitchCon. Yeah, he was
But
staying
that
with
was
me.
2018. Yeah.
Is that 8 years? Wait, what is math? How's math? That's 6 years.
That is a great question.
Yeah, it's at least 6, but I thought
At
y'all
least
were
6
already
or 7.
together. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
God, old.
But yes, you studied the acting and now you are Pirate Man.
Try to be.
But it doesn't feel like that, right?
I want to ask, because I never asked this, and sometimes I'm curious. And this is just for my own, like pride, I guess. Do I pull it off in game?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
'Cause the thing is, so
Okay.
for me, right?
I just never know if I'm like, just if it sounds good or what, because I don't really listen back on what I was saying at certain points in episodes. So
That's the thing, is like Hayden is Hayden, right? But Hayden is still a lot of you. So and generally in acting, right? Like there's going to be a lot of yourself in the character that you play. That's why everyone will play the same character differently. And so it's kind of like Hayden is like a darker, more mysterious version of you that is like, that becomes that character, if that makes sense.
he's the cooler version of me, basically.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, and not in a way that like you're not cool, but he has that suave kind of demeanor, that like really like smooth, oozy man. Like he just has a vibe. He has a vibe about him that is like more present specifically in that way than when you're being yourself. Like it's still there. It's amplified for his character.
I don't know, man. Like Hayden doesn't have a cute dog, so
Imagine if he did. Can we get him one?
Not that we know, because we need to go to Oshamaran and find out.
That's true.
Maybe there is a cute dog at the Highwood Estate.
That's right. It's a little
I
dog
don't know.
named Skipper. I already got it. It's right here.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. I don't really know what's back there, to be honest.
We gonna find out.
We're bleeding into the wrong show.
Yep.
It's okay. It's okay. But No, I think that's really interesting because I don't do anything that's different than what you do, VS. Like if it's just an accent, like
Mhm.
because I think that there are certain accents that people are more comfortable pulling off just regarding like your life experiences, like whatever your other like professional or amateur experiences. But if there's something like I'm not sure of, I'll do the same thing. I'll pull up YouTube videos, I will listen to people talk and like pick little things out and make notes and try and figure out, okay, I want to sound like that, but me like that, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Yeah.
another thing I find that helps for me to get into character or just pick deciding a voice or something like that is what what is the emotional range of that voice? Can I pull it off? And if I can't, then I won't do that voice. Like, so what does my character sound like when I'm angry? What does the character sound like when I'm sad? What does my character sound like when I'm soft spoken? Can I
Yeah.
sing in the character voice? And that's like a big thing for me is like if I can sing in the character voice, then I think I nailed it. It's not easy to sing a song in a different voice.
Yeah.
Um, so usually I like rummage around the house practicing voices like that in different tones and inflections and stuff like that. So it really helps me get into like character with
Yeah.
Azure too, because
Uh,
Azure has like a high low range going on.
One thing I used to do is I would read news articles in a character's voice, like how they would read it, just so it's not like, and this is kind of the opposite for me. It's like, just so it's not tied to like a fantasy, like specific line or something. Like, can they actually just say like any, like, can I say anything as the character? So if I'm struggling, I'll do that. I used to read articles to Bun as different characters.
See, y'all don't even need me. You're all professional voice actors already. This
You
is
know,
like
We'll read
literally
too.
all the stuff that every time someone sends me a message and they're like, "How do I do the voice acting thing? I don't know what to do." I'm like, literally all of these things is it. Like what you're saying with like the emotional range and stuff. Like it's all like mouth place like what's it called? Like oral placement and stuff, like where your tongue sits, how high it is, how far do you open your mouth, where is your resonance? Like all of those things will change how a voice sounds, but that doesn't change how it feels to be using that voice or how it feels to be that character. So if you find yourself like reaching a certain emotional state that doesn't seem to match the character or it doesn't feel like the character goes there, like maybe that's not the type of character they are, or you're not comfortable enough in that character.
mhm.
It's like it can be a two-way thing, I find. And yeah, like all of that, like cold reading stuff. Like cold reading is like the one thing everyone's like, just cold read everything in an accent all the time. Like just to learn like how it feels in your mouth and to practice different muscles and stuff like that. So it's like it's so intriguing to hear you guys literally just mirror back like my entire life experience basically, and then be like, we need you here to justify everything.
you
Consider
bring
yourselves all tick of approval.
you bring credibility to us ruffians. You know, that's
We're
Yeah.
just
that's why you're
amateurs.
here.
But
You're
yeah, it's
Credibility
like
and
professional.
validation.
and the like even in video games and stuff, right? Like it's all actually with my dialect coach that I was just studying the American accent with, she was saying, especially mostly for screen acting, but she can tell if someone is eating or yawns or says and have fallen out of the accent. Like when you only use the accent when you're speaking versus integrating the accent with your character, she can tell when you've fallen out of it because
Even
your
yawning.
oral posture will be the same when you're talking as when you eat. You will eat differently in an American oral posture than with an Australian one or a
Mm.
British one. You will yawn differently. You will like it your face literally looks different in different oral posture. Like it's very, very subtle, but that's how she could tell and to coach us, like, "You've fallen out of the accent." I'm like, "I didn't say anything." She's like, "I know, but you fell out of it. I saw the shift in in your
Oh,
mouth muscles or whatever."
prac-
So
practice accents while you're eating.
That's why
yeah,
Brad Pitt's the
literally,
master. He eats all the time when he
literally.
acts.
Oh.
Yeah. But that's interesting, right? Because how
Oh
do you
yeah.
stay in character with the same character voice when you're not saying anything? And maintaining that like presence and effort in your body of like maintaining that presence, like
Hmm.
I think that that's a really interesting challenge because then when you don't need to think when you start talking, you're already still there.
Mm.
So thinking back on what you're saying and like trying to remember, like I feel more like there's a posture to things. Like if I'm playing a villain, like
Mm.
I feel that more than just like a normal NPC or just like someone around, but like I think it's more pronounced just in me when I do it when I'm like voicing a villain.
I think so too. I think the more extreme the shift in personality, like I definitely
Mhm.
find it more challenging playing characters that are closer to me. Like it's kind of like, wait,
Mhm.
where is this in relation to me? Like it's too close. Whereas if it's like over there, it's kind of easier to reach and be like, ah, yes, I found it. If it's like closer over here, you're just kind of like, I guess this
Mhm.
is it. Like if it's really subtle.
That's
I think
Go
voice
ahead.
acting is still a very, even though it's just your voice, it's still a very physical performance,
Oh yeah.
right? Like, so even if you want that menacing, right, you're gonna have a strong posture and you're gonna try to tower over people while you're trying to be a villain. Or if you're
Hmm.
timid, you're gonna be slouching and like punching over. It's still very a physical process, even if you're just using your voice.
Yeah.
As a player in our current campaign, it's been the environment we're in has been fun because I can tell when Max really likes certain NPCs. Not gonna name any names, but there's a few like snobby rich types.
So good.
And Max just gets into character
Just
and
glows.
he's 100% that person.
He's I am now
He's just
God.
he's just saying you're a great asshole, Max. He's just
But
Yeah.
what this is not the first time I've heard this either. This is what's bad is it's not news to me. Bun has said to me before, she's like, why do you play assholes so well? Why do you feel at home being a snobby asshole?
Because you never get to in real life, so it feels so good to be
Maybe
able
I
to
want
do it in a
to,
safe
yeah.
space.
great. Can we get I don't know if this NDA, but can we get a sample of your American accent, Nina?
Oh my god.
Oh, you're putting her on the
Put me
spot,
on the
man.
You can say
spot.
NDA to cop out, you're like, I'll give
Put
it
me
to you.
on the spot. Oh my
Okay.
god.
If okay,
Hold on.
give us some copy, and what we can do is I'll do an Australian accent first to
Should
thoroughly
we
embarrass
read Twitch
myself.
chat? Should we read Twitch chat
Sure.
in accent?
All right, put some one-liners in chat, everyone, or a short dialogue.
that way
You gotta set
you're
up the
not
scene. Set
alone.
up the scene.
All right, let me read the
While that's
let me read
happening,
Twitch
actually,
chat.
while people are putting in stuff in chat for Max and Nina to voice, I did take a couple classes because I did want to improve on my voice acting, and it's something I've been very passionate about since I was a kid. Oftentimes, I would just impersonate like a lot of comedians or actors.
Mhm.
Uh, and I was watching Lord of the Rings one day, and I was like, I wonder if I could do the Smeagol voice, which is distinct from Gollum. There's Gollum, and there's Smeagol. I do very good Smeagol. My Gollum, not so much. And then, uh, and even like during school, I would ask. We would because I went to school for art, and we would go to tours to like we would go to DreamWorks or Sony Interactive and like all these studios, Nickelodeon, and I always
Yeah,
ask, I was
I
like,
went to the zoo. What kind of field trips are you doing?
we had a very good club president who made sure that we went to these awesome studios. And I always ask questions about voice actors. I was like, "Do you always hire like B A-lister actors, or do how does one become a voice actor?" And they're like,
Mhm.
"Always go through an agency." So I was like, "Damn it, that's not very insightful." But just until recently, like last year and this year, I was like, you know what, I'm going to take some classes. I want to improve, and yeah, it's mind-blowingly super helpful. And there's like online courses everywhere you could take from professional actors who are still working to this day, that side hustle on the side to teach people how to voice act.
Mhm. Here we
There's a
go.
Do you want me to go first or do you want to?
Did I shoot 1 bullet or 3? The owls are not what they seem. Damn, good coffee.
A little
Okay,
Smack my
okay,
butt and call me twirly. That wasn't a possum at all.
okay. I'm trying
Okay.
to place which region of
It
the
sounds
There
US are you?
isn't
little.
one.
It sounds a
If it's
little
if it's
southern in
if
some
it's
parts.
general American, there isn't one. It's everywhere all at once.
All right,
Mhm.
same line. So Max has to do it as an Australian accent.
Oh.
Yes.
I just wanted you to feel comfortable as the guest. Let me think about this. I'm not prepared for this. This is where I get stage fright. This is my nightmare. I hope you all are happy. I shoot one bullet or three. The owls are not what they seem. Damn, good coffee. Spank my butt and call me twirly. That wasn't an opossum at all.
Very good. Very good.
Enough of this honky tonk bullshit.
Hey,
All right, 1 to 10, Nina. What's my Australian off the cuff?
Absolutely 6.9 out of 7.
Nice.
Oh,
so
goodbye.
I think that
Aw.
Bonus points.
Bye.
Sorry, I was going to the gym.
I think one of the reasons like I actually wanted to go for an accent this time is because like I'll just do like either on my own or playing games with friends. I'll just bust out and say things in random accents all the time.
Me too.
I mean, Max
Yep.
knows, Moobs knows,
Guilty.
Yep.
all the time. And like when I'm in my car or something, or just at home, like reading stuff on the internet, I'll just like start reading it in a voice. And I was like, I do this all the time. Like, can I do it for real and like an ongoing? I was like, I'm gonna try it. And I originally was gonna try to do an Irish accent, but I wasn't confident that I would be able to do it for an extended campaign.
That is a thought too, is like once you settle on something, you've got X number of episodes that like episode 1, and this is what's different about our format than just playing at home. Like we're doing a show, so you really can't shift that much after you decide on something episode 1. So like 41 episodes later, like you're stuck with it.
I felt more comfortable being able to do. I felt like I could do what I'm doing now more consistently for long periods of time than trying to do Irish. So, but it would have been cool.
It would have been awesome. I want to hear your Irish accent now, but
oh god,
you don't have to do it. We don't have to put you on the spot.
I haven't spoken in anything in an Irish accent, and I don't know.
Every time I try it, it always sounds like the whimsical, like hoity-toity kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, the luck of the Irish,
Yeah, like the high register stuff.
Kind of Irish accent.
You're always after me, Lucky Charms.
Oh god. Oh man.
Hollywood bastardization of an Irish accent.
Pretty much. That's all I do. It's just bastardizations of accents.
Just got to watch Banshees of Inisherin 7 times over.
I've had that on my list for
Great movie, by the way.
2 years when it won Best Picture or something like that, and I still haven't watched it. It's just on the list.
One thing I was doing when I was like actually considering doing an Irish accent is I was just going on YouTube and like typing in like Irish interviews and just like watching like YouTube videos of either it's people on the street being interviewed or like Irish talk shows, and you get the whole spectrum of like dialects, because now again there's so many like different versions of Irish depending on like how far north or south you go, and so you can hear all kind of stuff. It's kind of wild in a country that's like not that big. There's tons of different.
I'd love
the
to.
Cork accent. Yeah, that's Cork accent's freaking wild, man.
I'd love to go visit. My great grandmother, my mother's side, I believe her grandparents immigrated from Ireland. And now look at me. Look how far I've come, ancestors.
Speaking of which,
It's in
so
the
you
hair and
guys are
beard.
Yeah, it's just this is all that's left.
y'all are talking about like videos for reference and all this stuff. Like literally, even though I was coaching, right? Part of the coaching is go on YouTube and find a bunch of examples of people talking. So I literally have a document that is clips of Jennifer Lawrence, Emma Stone, Natalie Portman, Dakota Fanning, Dakota Johnson, Gwyneth
Mhm.
Paltrow, Krista Wiig, Marita Ryan, who's just someone on Twitter who has like just someone who I know on Twitter, and Sabrina Carpenter, who has the most hilarious example of her accent, by the way, just to like analyze the way that they speak and and you just go through each video every time and just try to
Mhm.
emulate it and use technology to try to match the intonation. Um which is a whole other thing. It's one thing making the sounds, it's another thing getting, like, the musicality of it and,
Right.
like, the pitch variation and yeah. It's a whole
So
thing, man.
so there was a question. If you have questions in the chat, throw them in. Now's the time.
Oh yeah.
As we're nearing the end of this episode soonish. There was one, I think it was Village, that was asking, is it more like when it comes to doing this, is it more just like voice acting, or is it how much of that is actual improv as well? I'm gonna find the actual question soon after I get past all of like the examples. Yeah. Is it
Is
considered
voice acting only
improv or
applying
voice
an
acting to
accent
stay
or
in
speech
character?
cadence, or
I
can
feel
it
like it's
include
both.
knowing your character talks in different situations, or is that just improv? All of the above. I think
Mhm.
all of that is valid. Like in general, that is all applicable, which doesn't help, and also that is your answer. Like,
Yeah.
because improv in character is being able to be that character and react
Mhm.
as that character with the same voice that they would have in different situations at all times, and
Yeah.
being able to scream as them and eat as them,
Like
and
I wanna use an example from maybe couple sessions ago where we disguised VS as a lady to go through the streets and
Mhm.
deciding what Hayden's disguise was improv, and then also like Azric like really selling in the idea and calling Hayden or Femme Hayden honey bunches as their as he
Mhm.
extends his arm. That's all improv.
Mhm.
Which, like, yeah, to a degree, it might be like quote unquote breaking character, but also we are a show and we
Yeah.
do like part of it, especially when you watch any improv show, it's rarely like completely serious the whole time. There are
Yeah.
elements, like comedic elements to it. And part of the comedy is also those moments where you go just a little bit further outside of what your character would realistically be or do. Like, oh, I think that's Buddy, sorry.
Well, I think too another case of that is a couple episodes ago. I'm not going to spoil anything, where you came across some inventor person that was very like stressed out. It's like what does your character sound like when they're stressed out versus when they're normally speaking? Like that's things that you might have to think about, like or like when they're angry, when they're yelling at someone, when they're sad. We brought these things up. It's sometimes in the moment in my brain, it's like I know what this person's accent kind of sound like, and I know how they want to carry themselves or how I want them to carry themselves. But in the moment, it's just like, okay, they're very frustrated in this particular scene. Like, what does that sound like? So it can be, you can think through all possibilities and have it all down, which is good for you. But for me, a lot of it is just I just have to go off a feel, because a lot of the game, what happens is dynamic, and I have to react with what the players are doing. So I can't anticipate what someone's mood is going to be most of the time before y'all do stuff.
Yeah, like the entirety of D&D is improv.
Yeah.
And so the like it's not even so much voice acting, it's just yeah, just acting in like acting, improv, voice acting, they all like cross over in a way.
Oh, pot stew, acting
Mm,
stew.
yeah,
A question,
exactly.
question from Bunny Dreadful. She goes, I want to know what your advice is for people who are scared to do an accent in front of other people, like just at their normal home game. What advice do you have for them? They want to try it. They've never done it before.
My advice would be the same as asking that crush you have out on a date. You just gotta do it. You gotta pop that cherry, and then as soon as that's done, you're just home to the races. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like,
Then you
gotta
can't turn
break
it
the
off.
seal, whatever other
Like,
metaphors
oh,
you have.
God damn it, Nina's doing the voice
Rip
again.
off
Like,
the
we can't get her
Band-Aid.
to stop.
Yeah, rip off the Band-Aid.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
do any other puns on metaphors.
yeah, and hopefully, like at your D&D table, that you were amongst friends or at least people that you're comfortable with, because in reality, like even like role playing in front of people can be awkward if you've never done it before too, or it can be weird, or if it's a new group. Like if you're
Mhm.
comfortable enough to like role play or like play D&D in front of people, I would just be like, hey, I'm gonna try this accent out and bear with me, but I think it's cool and I want to try and do it. And if you're at a good table, everyone would be like, awesome, let's go,
Yeah,
cool, I'm glad you're trying
100%.
something new. Like that's
I
the response you
agree.
want.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Like,
Even
if people are
record
gonna laugh at
yourself.
you or whatever, or tease you about it, it's like that's their problem, not yours,
Mm-hmm.
truly.
yeah.
Yeah, you
I
can
mean,
even
I'm
just
a
try recording yourself and then listening back to it. Even though most people hate listening to their own voice. But
I'm an extremely shy, introverted person in real life. So the idea of like going out on a limb and trying something and not knowing what other people are gonna think about me is like a very realistic, like, you know, thing I worry about.
Mm.
But I'm comfortable enough with these guys, and I've known them for so long that I know they're not gonna judge me. They're not gonna like make fun of me for like failing
Mm-hmm.
at doing an accent or something. And they're all, I think, maybe somewhat go out of their comfort zones doing this sort of stuff as well. So, yeah, I mean, just if you're with people you trust and you know them well, then just go for it.
Yeah, give it a whirl. I mean, it took like I did my first like role playing thing ever with Max, like years and years and years ago.
6
And
years ago.
6 years
7 years
ago,
ago.
7 years ago, something like that. And like I was so I'm sorry. My whole face was just serious the entire time because I had no idea like what I could say, who I was, what I could do. Like, it was like a whole situation. It was super stressful because it wasn't until after that that I started actually like exploring what performance is and getting more comfortable in that area. And even now, like, thank God Arthur just left because I have my singing lesson after this. And if I knew that he was going to be in the room while I had my singing lesson, ooh, wait.
I get very embarrassed when Bun comes home and I'm in my singing lessons. I'm like, if I hear her coming, I'm like,
Don't listen to me. Don't listen to me.
mm-hmm.
Like, I can't walk around and do accents and stuff around the house. That's weird. I feel weird, like, running lines and stuff, even though I do this professionally. I have to, like, go in my sound isolated booth where I no one will hear me to, like, practice my lines and stuff. And you guys were like, "I walk around the house and do stuff all the time." And I'm like, "I wanna do that. I'm the professional." What
I
kind of accents and voices do you find offensive and or problematic? Ooh. Hmm.
That's a spicy one.
It is a spicy one.
Yeah.
It is a spicy
If you're
one.
doing it to be a caricature and
Yeah.
you're like knowingly like just maybe
Yeah, like,
don't be an asshole, I
I
guess.
think it's all, you know, intentions are most of the thing, right? Like, there are some pretty heckin' cool accents out there, but also there are people of all cultures that come from everywhere in the world now as well. It's just something that needs to be like, you just have to be compassionate about it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
why are you choosing that accent? Like,
Mm-hmm.
is there a particular reason why you feel so compelled to use that accent, or like how does it relate to your character, or stuff like that? Because the thing is, even in voice acting, this is like spicy territory right now, with everyone working really hard to like authentically cast people for certain accents and backgrounds and things like that. So whereas back in the day, it's like anyone could do any accent, and it's like, yeah, but the only any ones who were getting those opportunities were
Yeah.
white people. So, like, It's just all white people doing all of the
Everyone
everything
else.
that everyone is allowed to do. So there's like underlying problems in that area that kind of inform um that. But I mean, the thing is, like, if you're around the table with friends and how it's just a mindfulness thing, I think. Like, just don't be a jackass about it.
Yeah, don't be a dick. But with that,
Yeah.
thanks everybody. I think we got to wrap this up.
Mm.
But thank you all for watching, and thank you for the insightful questions. As always, if you have more questions, just throw them in our Discord, and we'd be happy to talk to you about them or try and help you out if you have any issues or give you some advice. We're here, we're around.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
thanks for coming in, Pizza, for wrapping this up. My little
Yeah.
dog. But anyway, thanks so much for watching and hanging out with us, and we will see you all in a few weeks. Bye bye, everybody. See you around.
Bye forever.
Bye.